he'll be voting with us tonight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's a printout of the city council meetings,
Thank
just
you.
for your information.
Yeah, I meant to tune into it.
Yeah, it was like 4 hours. It was pretty long. It went past 10, I know. They took a motion.
I actually
like-
love watching it, the
Yeah.
replay, because then I can speed it up.
Yes. Sometimes just reading the minutes afterward is a good summary.
I just have these papers away, and they were just sitting there hidden, so I give them to you.
What is this?
That's the,
Just the exhibit?
oh. This isn't the one. Oh, no, somebody else must get it. The paperwork for,
Oh,
maybe I grabbed the wrong.
sorry, is that stuff that I set out? What is it?
No, this is what I had at home, I just had,
Oh.
like, cause you called me for the other paperwork. I was hoping you brought. This is not it, so maybe I don't have it.
Yeah.
I'll double check at home.
All right. On that note, we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Planning Commission meeting, Wednesday, August 28th. We are in the Providence City Office Building. This Planning Commission meeting is being recorded. I have, where are we? We'll do a roll call. Who's here today? So on my right, I have John Peterson. He'll be voting with us today, along with Bob Henke or Robert.
Robert's my real name, but Bob's fine.
Bob. I'm Shelley Nazer. I'll be chairing this meeting. On my left, I have Julie Martin, and to her left, we have Bob Washburn. I've asked Bob to lead us in the members absent are we have Joe Chambers, he's excused, and Michael Fortune is also excused this evening. Now for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and get going. Item number 1 is to approve our minutes. We'll be looking at the minutes from August 14th. I have submitted some minor corrections to Ty, just about parcel numbers and some switch digits. Does anyone else have anything on the minutes you'd like to go over?
No, I have nothing.
Nothing.
Great. John, anything that you're worried about? All right, and we'll take a motion on the minutes.
I motion to approve the minutes with the changes that Shelley's already made, I guess.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Now it's time for our public comment portion of the meeting. This is where citizens can express their views on issues within the Planning Commission's jurisdiction. We'll accept comments in person, by email, and by text. Do we have any comments this week?
I didn't see any, Ty, did you?
Yeah, I checked right before I came in here. I didn't see any email comments.
Okay. All right, we will go ahead and close the public comment portion and move on to our public hearing. Item number 2 on the agenda is the Rinderknecht rezone hearing. The Planning Commission will take comments and questions from the public regarding an application for Mr. Kent Dunkley that seeks to rezone parcels 02-088-0015 and 02-090-0001 from agricultural to highway commercial, and parcel 02-088-0010 from agricultural to RM18, formerly known as multifamily high. We'll invite Scarlett up for the staff report just to let us know what's going on with that.
So this is the same report that we presented at your last meeting for the study item. But the purpose of this rezone request is to rezone 3 parcels owned by the Rinderknecht family. The front properties are they're all along Highway 165. The 2 front properties front Highway 165. The third property is just west of the 2 front ones. So it's about 400 feet off of Highway 165. The 2 that front, they would like to have that as commercial highway district. The third parcel, the one that's in the back and is adjacent to the Logan City boundary where Blackhawk, I think I don't know if they're townhomes or exactly what they are, but Blackhawk's townhomes. Adjacent to that, that's the one that they want to have as RM18, which is multifamily, maximum of 18 units per net acre. When we look at a rezone, we look at our general plan. We look at the objectives, excuse me, this key initiatives and the objectives are listed in the staff report. I'm not going to read through those. We also look at our moderate income housing plan. I am going to call out one of the strategies in that plan. One of our objectives is to modify existing regulatory measures to encourage the development of affordable housing. And then the strategy is the state code strategy that we picked, and it's to rezone for densities necessary to facilitate the production of moderate income housing. I don't know whether it will happen or not because we have no control over the market, but densities in the 18 units per acre range should be able to produce more affordable housing than some other densities. So that's one that would follow in line with our moderate income housing plan. Our key initiative a couple of the key initiatives that I actually will highlight in our general plan. One of them, we want to look at economic development, consider long-term economic development impacts when making land use, transportation, and other planning decisions. Use zoning and design standards to provide compatible transitions or integration between residential areas and commercial development. This commercial development has the highway between it. It's down in commercial area, but it also has the highway there. So it kind of has its own buffer, and then it just transitions into the multifamily, which is adjacent to Logan City's, which is some multifamily. And then our key initiative number 6 is various housing opportunities, encourage housing options to meet the needs of residents of all ages, income levels, family size, regardless of their stage in life. We want to support and utilize existing affordable housing resources and support fair housing practices through education and awareness. Then in our findings of fact, we use the state code. The ones specific to zone changes are 109A501, 109A505, 109A302, and then in our city code, we look at 1041 and 1015. We also look at all of our along with the general plan, we look at our master plans, and which we have a parks, trails, recreation master plan, a transportation master plan, a 40-year water right plan, a 2020 water master plan, wastewater master plan, a 2019 stormwater master plan, and a 2022 culinary water system master plan. 10 Providence City Code 10.5 defines and lists the regulations for sensitive areas, and 1061 lists the designated uses for each zone, and Providence City Code 1081 lists the area regulations. And there in the conclusions, Providence City has divided the city into zoning districts. The city council is the legislative body for Providence City. So Joe's not here today to say this, but I will put that plug in, is that you are considering, you're taking public input if there was public here, and you would, after that, you can make a recommendation. But it is a recommendation to the city council. The city council is the one that makes the decision. They can decide to agree with your recommendation. They can change something a little bit. They can, or they can just completely deny it. It's all in their court. Prior to making the recommendation, you are holding a public hearing, which meets the requirements of state code. And then, as mentioned earlier, the city does, zoning districts do include the RM18 zone and this commercial highway district, the CHD. The application process is consistent with the requirements in Providence City Code 1015. We talked about the general plan. There's a little map in there called the Framework for Future, and it shows this as a mixed use node, which fits right into what we're talking about as far as the zoning goes. And then we also talked about we already talked about the moderate income housing plan. As far as our master plans go, this will fit in with the master plans. They will, the commercial district does not have to pay impact fees towards parks, but the multifamily district does. One thing to note as well, this multifamily requires single family, or Providence City Code 1089 requires single family attached and multifamily residential developments to provide open space equal to or greater than 25% of the overall project area, and children's play area is also required. So even though they're a bit of a distance from Providence City parks, they're actually relatively close to two Logan City parks, and they will have to provide some of their own open space and play area for the children in that development. The trails, the nearest existing trail is on 300 South, and there's a proposed roadside pathway on 100 South that's going to connect into this development from the east. So the 40-year water right master plan, the developer will, when they come to develop, as they go through the platting stages for their subdivision plats, at that point in time when they file their final plat, that's when they will dedicate the water or pay a fee in lieu for the amount needed according to Providence City Code 8121, which will fulfill the requirements in the 40-year water right plan. Our wastewater plans, we have two wastewater fees. One of them was enacted by Logan City for the treatment. The other is enacted by Providence City for the collection. And so they will pay their appropriate impact fees for both of those when they start to draw building permits for each building that goes in. And then the stormwater plan, we don't do impact fees for stormwater, but they will be required as part of the development process, part of the subdivision and platting process, to provide for stormwater retainage and facilities. And so they will follow our stormwater plan. And then our culinary water plan is the same way as the wastewater. They, as the primary structures come in for building permits, that's when we'll collect the impact fees for that. So they are following our master plans. It talks about sensitive areas. We do allow people to build within sensitive areas. The ones we have to avoid are jurisdictional wetlands, steep slopes, and natural waterways. There is some of that in this area. And we will work with the developer on that to make sure that as they put their design out through the subdivision process, that they those things are taken into account. The Cache County Parcel Zoning Viewer indicates this area has wetlands and secondary water laterals. Secondary water laterals are not sensitive area, but they do have to be dealt with. It also indicates that the area may have moderate to high liquefaction potential. That's less than our sensitive area threshold. And the water table depth is an estimated water table depth of 24 to 48 inches, which is also, they can develop on that kind of area. They just have to do it carefully. So, and then as the use chart and the area regulations are attached to the end of the report, which talks about the differences between the zones. The condition, the city council is the body that will make the final decision upon the request. Prior to making the recommendation to the city council, the planning commission must schedule and hold a public hearing, which you're doing, and then the applicant will continue to meet all applicable state and federal laws, codes, rules. Approval by the city of any application submitted or paperwork does not alleviate the owners and or their agents from their responsibility to understand and conform to local, state, and federal laws. Providence City's approval is not intended to and cannot be construed to allow any laws to be violated. So,
Round of applause. Thank you, Scarlett. Thank you so much for educating us on all of that. I'm sure we'll come back in just a moment to ask you questions. So at this time, we'll open the public hearing to any comments, concerns, anything we can hear from the public. Let the record note that there is no one present with us tonight. Do we have any texts or emails regarding this item on the agenda?
Not that I saw a few minutes ago.
Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing portion, which moves us to our legislative action, item number 3. Again, it's the Rinder Connect rezone. The Planning Commission will review, discuss, and make a recommendation to the City Council regarding a rezone request from Kent Dunkley that seeks to rezone parcels 02-088-0015 and 02-090-0001 from agricultural to highway commercial, and parcel 02-088-0010 from agricultural to RM18. And at this point, I will open it up to discussion. How do you guys feel?
I did have a question on the water table portion of your reading. You said that it would carefully develop that. What types of regulations or, I guess, making sure that is developed properly? I've seen a lot of development where it's not been, so I just wondered how we ensure that doesn't become an issue.
I'm going to try to answer that one in a generic format so that you can understand where we're at. The staff is a review body, and what we would do is we would push that responsibility of design and presenting a plan or path to the developer. They would look at that, present a way they can mitigate it and take care of it. And then from a staff perspective with our engineer, we would review and say, yes, that is appropriate, or nope, that doesn't work, try something else. To give you kind of, so that we as staff won't give kind of an answer to that. We ask them to come up with that, and then we do we're in a review and a quality assurance rather than
So it
brainstorming
is
side.
analyzed by an engineer to make
It'll have to
sure.
be, yeah, on our side, we'll review it from an engineer and a staff perspective, but on the other side, they'll have to come up with that solution. Fair enough.
Thank you, Julie. Yeah, Mr. Walker.
have a couple of questions. Do we have any idea what the county is going to let us do as far as access or intersections to get vehicle, bike, foot traffic across the street, across the highway?
That's actually, Highway 165 is actually a count, or a state
Or
road.
state? Okay,
And we have been in conversation with UDOT, the developer, as they come in and start doing their, their subdivision plans. They will have to apply through, UDOT for an access permit, and then UDOT will determine whether they're going to have to put deceleration lanes or acceleration lanes. UDOT does know that we would be putting a crossing or an entrance straight across from 100 South. They've planned on that for years, knowing that that's where it is. The west side is limited to the crossings that have been developed on the east side. They have to match them if they're going to utilize access. They have to match the ones on the east side. So they will utilize 100 South as the main access into the development.
okay. And I'm concerned about not only the commercial development, which we want people to be able to come in and spend their money, but also the housing area. Is there going to be more than one entrance and exit? I mean, that's a fairly good sized piece of property. And we're looking at putting quite a few people in there. And I'd hate to have such a limited access. I mean, I maybe this isn't even part of our discussion, but it's a concern of mine that there's access, more than one access point.
It's also a concern of the fire, but we will take care of that as we go through the actual subdivision and development stages.
Okay.
They should be able, following UDOT's rules, they should be able to have an access right across from where the Macy's entrance is, and then also 100 South. So that would be two egresses that match the east side.
Okay.
But as far as internally, how they're going to work that out, we actually met with people that are developing the lot adjacent to them that is in Logan City, the one on the north. They may or may not. They don't know at this point in time whether they would be willing to open that up to share an access that would then hit 1200 South. The plan is that as development to the south comes in, that those accesses will be opened up that way too. But right now, it would just be the ones on 165 that we could look at for sure.
Okay. And I'd like to have you help me understand when you say the open space needs to be equal to or greater than 25% of the overall project area. What is the project area? Is that the footprint of the buildings?
No,
Or is that,
that's the combined area of the buildings, the parking area, the open space area, the whole area now that's for the multifamily. So that would only be the
Right.
part considered in the R112 zone. And so it would be the area that they choose. And if that's all one development, then it would be 25% of that whole area there. If they split that up and do it in two different developments, then it'd be 25% of each of those two developments. But the development is the perimeter of the actual developed area, not the footprints in this case.
okay, and that would also exclude the water, the river area, whatever, this wetland, that's not considered part of the developable area?
It's part of the developed area. It's not part that they can utilize for density. So they can't, they, they have to subtract that much out for density, but they can use it towards open space credit.
Oh, so they could count all this wet stuff as their open space?
Mm-hmm.
But they can't increase density for it.
No,
Can't
but,
say, oh, hey, this is the amount of space, but yes, they can use that. as-
okay, but so what you're talking about is 25% of this whole rectangle needs to be,
Right, but that's actually a question for when we get further down the road, when we get into the subdivision process and the actual development process. But yes, 25% of that rectangle would have to be set aside as open space if they chose to use that entire rectangle for their multifamily development.
okay? Okay, thank you. That's helpful, thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Any comments over here? John, how are you feeling?
Will this tie into Blackhawk? Or is this a completely separate development?
Separate. There's not an entrance on that side to the Blackhawk subdivision. So you're asking, there
Mhm.
isn't an entrance.
Is there be like a fence, or is there a fence now?
Fence across that whole property.
That is the boundary. That is the dividing. It's where Logan stops and
yes.
Providence starts.
It would have been nice to tie them together, I guess, but not the way.
And the parcel to the north is also Logan, correct?
To the
Yeah.
north?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that'll be a park in the north?
No, that's also Logan property.
Oh, Logan. Okay, so there won't be access north. You just,
There
To the
could,
side.
Hard to
Well, there's a
say.
there
possibility.
could be,
okay,
but it's not currently planned to be.
okay.
Bob?
I don't have any issues with it. I think we're approving a change in the zoning, and then they'll have to draw up the plans on how they're gonna make it work, so. But I appreciate what Bob brought up, and this is off the subject, but I am curious about across the street to the west from Judge's Car Wash, that corner, what they're doing there. Isn't that Providence City?
Gas station, I think.
That is.
So that was a wetlands area, wasn't it? I always wondered what would happen there.
They had to go through the Corps of Engineers. That's what took so long. And right now, I think they're putting in some of the infrastructure improvements required for that subdivision. And they're working on their grading plan and whatnot that they had to do for the Corps of Engineers for that area, for the wetlands.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
but they have not brought in a site plan for their actual proposed building site
Uh-huh.
yet.
Okay. I was just surprised to see that being removed or whatever, but
And the zoning on that piece?
Commercial highway.
Oh, it is. Okay.
but anyway, like I said at the last meeting, in my opinion, this looks good and checks all the boxes.
Great. Julie, did you have something else?
Yeah, sorry, I interrupted you. I was just gonna say, I think, I don't want to speak for you, but just in asking some of these little more detailed questions as far as being able to work with the wetlands and what that actually looks like to get the 25% green space. I think that's just us collecting some of the information to make the recommendation. We know that those processes happen. We know we can't, figure out every little thing, but where I've seen places that probably should be reconsidered to not be developed into multifamily, like that's the reason I think for the foundational questions so that we can gather the information to make the recommendation that yes, we think this is a great idea. We're going to trust the developer. We're going to trust the engineers that it will be good for our citizens, because I just have seen so many citizens get into situations where maybe there's overzealous rezoning and improper construction. So that's the only reason I just wanted to make sure we collect all the information to make the recommendation.
Absolutely.
Thank you. really wanted to be educated on what that all meant. I don't know that it makes that it's going to change my position. I feel like it's something that should be done. So, but I like you say, I hope they do it smartly.
Absolutely. Okay, anything further?
I just have a couple. You mind if
Yeah, absolutely, Ryan.
on some?
Don't forget to, speak
Speaking
into
of the mic, yeah. And just a few things that came up in the last rezone, and kind of maybe give you an update so it's on the record, more than and for that informational purposes. So we have, and you'll notice if you review the city council's last rezone request, there was some discussion. And there's usually discussion with water and sewer as good items to discuss, just as so that we get that as an understanding. And I do this more to help this one as well as others, because I know that this is going to go to the council. Right now, we have in our sewer master plan an undersized or nearing capacity line on 12th South between Highway 165 and Highway 8991. So in that site, our sewer master plan has identified that pipe to be nearing capacity or at or nearing capacity. Now, when we talk about that, usually that's at a 75% of the actual pipe. That's not that the pipe is totally full. So please understand, when we talk, we always talk and have buffers and safety. And I mean, we tend to over secure sometimes, especially the more engineering you get involved. So that was brought up. A few homes commercial isn't going to do a lot of impact to some of that. Ones that do have an impact are if he came and asked for a hotel. If a hotel was being located and it had a lot of laundry service, and I know we're just talking about rezone, but I'm just trying to help with the idea. If a hotel, which that's what's been approved by Logan for this parcel up here, that has a lot of laundry service, which has a lot of sewer. Laundry creates sewer. That's how it works. We have just today, Logan has presented the next steps for this. So we have been waiting for months to get our next step, and so we're getting a little nervous. And you might be able to sense a little of that came out in the city council meeting. But at this point, we have gotten Logan's proposed next step and time frame and some of those. Time frame that they've presented is that we'd have funding and ability by the end of June of next year and construct the following year. So keep in mind that we have that capacity restriction a little bit, but once that project is completed, then the capacity of all the other rezone is going to release, right? Because at that point, not that this would delay or not delay, I just want to give you an idea of some of the things we talk about, and that's one of them is being currently worked on, so that you're aware. If people ask, our water rights and Scarlett did an excellent job there, but I just like to call it out specifically. We're drilling a well right now, adding additional capacity to not, we already have the water rights, but we're adding additional capacity into that, so that as that comes online, should come on in a year. I'd be surprised if he can outbuild us at this point in what the dominoes are already laying out. But because the council was concerned with those, and hopefully you had a chance to review theirs, those were some concerns brought up that I wanted to specifically kind of talk with you about and make sure that with your recommendation, you understood some of those pieces of the puzzle. So just kind of, I know Scarlett did a great job of summarizing. I just want to pull a few little pieces out. So
Thank you. And like you say, it's not really something that would delay a rezone. They would have to go through your system, checks and balances. Is that something that would stop them if we're not at capacity, if things aren't ready yet? Would that stop the development?
If we reach capacity at that point, and that's why I tried to answer, Julie, your question the way I did, was some of the things we do and some of the things we don't do. And so it's helpful to you for you to understand where ours is going to be. There is a dozen answers to how, but we are in the process of just a review. We would, in this case, that if we found that at the time of either plat or the time of building construction, those times, if we found that the sewer was at backup stage, we wouldn't allow construction. That would be delayed at those points. We would say, hold up, wait till that flow is less than that. So we do have some of those stages built in, but you won't see the city council will only see it at rezone stage. So that's the last time they'll see that decision. You will see it at preliminary plat stage. So you'll see it one more stage beyond city council, and then after that, it won't come back to you for any of that. So this isn't your last spot to see it, but would be was that you pass this recommendation to council. It's the last the council will see that development and approve that kind of developing. You will then see the preliminary plat that you will then approve. So you'll get one more step than they do, but just to kind of give an idea of what the future steps are.
Okay.
So.
Thank you. Any questions for Ryan?
I have a procedure question maybe. When we make a recommendation, assuming that we recommend that this is that we move forward with this, that they move forward with this zone change, is it appropriate? Is there a way for us to also recommend that they consider that only 50% of the wetlands here could be their open space, because it's not really usable open space. If it's to me, I would like to see them make that part of a consideration, and if we can make our recommendation and include that as something for them to consider, I would be happy.
Is that a question for?
That's a
Chair? Is that
question.
for-
Can we include that in our recommendation?
I'm not sure that you can. Well, yeah, that's where I was going to go. Is I think when an application comes in, they get the right to come in under the applications and code that they applied under, and their acceptance comes through that. So when they start an application, at that point of the starting of the application, they're locked into the current code they have. If you went back and changed the code on them, they would be able to follow through with what they have. So I would have said, no, that's not, that wouldn't be, I mean, you can make a recommendation of what you want, but I don't think that the council could act on that. So I guess my point is you can certainly recommend what you like, but I don't think the council could act that way. Would you agree to that?
Correct. Yeah, and that state code actually just changed some things to make that even more clear, that if we don't have something in our ordinances or in a policy prior to them submitting the application, we can't change the rules once the application comes in. We can change it for the next person, so that if we see something and think, oh shoot, that's not very good, we can change it for the next person, but we can't change it for this person.
And the change would be in the general plan, or where would the change be if we wanted to, for the future, make a change to an ordinance or whatever it would be?
In your zoning code.
Yes, in the actual city code.
And we have changed that since some of you have been on the commission. We've modified some of those rules. added the playground requirement and some of the other pieces of that puzzle. So at that point, it's pretty hard to put the playground necessarily in the wetland.
In
So
the
they're gonna
river?
have to do some green space in the, I mean, it's
On
not
the-
gonna be green
okay.
space in wetlands and nothing. 'cause
Water
they do have to-
slide.
Yeah, they do have to have some other features that
okay.
to have that way.
So what is the breakdown of it? What percentage needs to be open space, green space, and then what portion of it needs to be children's play area?
It
Is there
depends
any-
on the size of the development. That's why we have to be really careful. I totally get education and understanding, but so much of what you're asking depends on how they lay out their development. That sometimes if we give too much information or we make too many assumptions at the rezone process, and then they come in with a different plan than what Ryan and I have in our heads, then what we've said may not be very accurate. So that's why it's best for us to, we just have to rely on our city code, and when they come in with their development plans, that we're gonna hold them to that. But the child space is a minimum of 800 square feet, but that's based on the number of units. And I honestly didn't look it up, I can't remember how many that is, but for the first so many units, it has to be a minimum of 800 square feet. And then for every 4 units or every unit, it increases after that. So, the playground area will depend on their multifamily, on how they design their units, how many units there are. There's quite a few things in our multifamily ordinance, actually, that they will have to go to if you zone it that way, and they choose to develop multifamily there. Our previous city council and planning commission worked really hard to try and improve some of the areas in our multifamily so that they're a little bit more family friendly. A little more open space, playground area, bicycle parking, that type of thing. But until we actually see a plan, it really is premature to try and second guess what that would look like.
Yeah. Well, I think it was helpful to know that it's 800 square feet based on the initial and then going up from there. So that answers it. Thank you.
Do we need to pause a moment for technical?
No, I think we've got it recorded here. And we got it recorded here. It's our third backup recording. So.
Don't mind waiting. Okay, I think that's wonderful. Thank you for reminding us. All these questions are not necessarily things we should consider when looking at this rezone. What we really want to look at tonight is, do we feel like this land is appropriate for changing it from agricultural to highway and multifamily high?
It's already highway, isn't it? It's already,
No,
Agriculture.
it's agricultural right now.
oh, I was thinking it was, okay.
Yeah. I did read through it kind of quickly.
That's all right, I just missed it. I was thinking it was already highway commercial on that.
Yeah. I think it's a fabulous place for highway commercial, and if we're gonna put multifamily high, we need to put it somewhere. I think this is a good spot for it, close to transportation, and those are my feelings. At this point, I will entertain a motion for a recommendation.
I'll make a motion that we recommend to the city council that they approve item number 3, the Renderneck rezone of parcels 02088 0015 and 02090 from agricultural to highway commercial, and parcel number 02088 0010 from agricultural to RM18.
Thank you, Bob. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We'll move on. We don't have any administrative action items tonight, nor any study items. Anything else from the staff? Anything else from the commission? I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Where's John? John, your turn.
I'll make the motion.
I motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Kent, I didn't invite you up to speak tonight. I'm sorry about that.